Hello there, thank you for tuning in. My name is Corbin, and welcome back to Tales of the Tape, the show in which we look across the wide world of performance and examine how high performers utilize sport and performance psychology in the everyday practice of their craft. In this week's case file, we'll be taking a look at the Blue Angels flight team. If you're an athlete or performer, I'd love for this video to be able to provide you some information or tools that you may add to your game. If you're a parent or coach, maybe you'll see something in the video that you can show to your athlete. If you're like me and were fascinated by planes and aircraft as a small child, then you may already be familiar with the Blue Angels. For those who are unfamiliar, the Blue Angels are an aerial acrobatics flight team fielded by the U.S. Navy. They're known for traveling around the United States and performing high-risk aerial stunts at air shows, demonstrations, and military open house expos. Formed in 1946 as the U.S. Navy Flight Demonstration Squadron, the Blue Angels now fly in over 60 events a year, flying their patented F-18 Super Hornets embossed in blue and gold. The team is made up of 6 naval aviators and 1 Marine Corps pilot. What I'm particularly interested in, though, is how the Blue Angels prepare for their death-defying and jaw-dropping flights. Let's take a look at one of their pre-flight briefings and see if we can find anything interesting.
Left for the diamond aileron roll. The souls will be in from the right. The souls will be in from behind the crowd for the opposing mid-radius turn. The diamond will be in from behind the crowd for the fan break. The souls will be in for the opposing horizontal rolls.
So let's break this down. The first thing we see are the pilots looking down at an aerial photograph. This provides them a top-down look at the space in which they're going to be flying over. Later in the clip, we see the senior flight officer describing a specific flight maneuver. We then see the pilots involved with a specific maneuver draw a particular movement on the aerial photograph. For example, if the flight leader described a movement that went left to right, the pilots would then trace left to right on the photograph. Let's watch a little bit more.
Take it in.
Up we go.
Now we see the pilots sitting back in their chairs with their eyes closed. The flight lead is calling out specific commands, and we can see the other pilots manipulating imaginary flight controls in concordance with what the flight lead called. Just a bit more now.
Easing more power was the pull. Let smoke up, push, go.
So what the pilots are doing in this briefing is called visualization or mental imagery. Simply put, visualization is creating an imaginary mental movie with a specific purpose. The pilots are closing their eyes and imagining themselves in the cockpit of their aircraft. When the flight lead calls out a specific command, the pilots are pretending like they are moving the real controls in their aircraft. Due to the high safety risk of their flight plans, their mental movie needs to be as realistic as possible. To make our mental movies more detailed or functionally equivalent to the real-life scenario, we want to incorporate as many sensory details as possible. That's why the pilots are wearing the flight suits and boots that they would be wearing during the real flight. That's why they are tracing their maneuvers on the aerial photograph. That's why the pilots are moving their hands back and forth, side to side, pretending to be piloting the real aircraft. You may be asking yourself, why is the one guy singing them commands? Due to how close the aircraft get during their flights and the precise timing and reaction speeds needed for their maneuvers, the singing provides the pilots noticeable, rhythmic, auditory cues that let the pilots know how and when to move their aircraft. The sweet thing about mental imagery is that it activates the same regions in the brain that would activate during the real activity or the real event. For example, me visualizing myself swinging a baseball bat activates the same regions and pathways in the brain and in my muscles as if I were to actually pick up a baseball bat and swing it. Visualization and mental imagery allows us to mentally rehearse and practice a skill and strengthen neuromuscular communication, which helps tell our bodies what to do and how to do it. This leads to improved confidence when it's time to do the real skill, less anxiety about performing the skill, and better performance because we are able to get mental reps in.